Welcome to the Activated Storyteller's 60-second podcast, October 4th, 2007.
This week's story is Niagara, a story from the Seneca Tribe.
Hi, I'm Dennis.
And I'm Kimberly.
And I'm Zephyr, and I'm 17.
And together we are...
the Activated Storytellers.
Yes, Zephyr turned 17 on the 25th, in between now and the last podcast. Happy birthday, Zephyr. This week we are coming to you from Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, which probably should be Bison, New York, because there are no buffalo in America.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. We learned that there are no buffalo when we were out visiting, where were we when we were learning that? Grand Canyon?
I think I was visiting the encyclopedia.
No, we learned that at a national park. I remember a park ranger telling us that. Do you remember where we were?
I don't remember, actually, but I believe, speaking of parks, national parks and state parks, Niagara Falls is actually the oldest state park. We found that a while ago. We didn't know that before.
Yes, we just visited Niagara Falls. Buffalo is in the northwestern corner of New York, right by Niagara Falls.
And this was our fifth time to go to Niagara Falls. Our first four visits were each in a different season. We first went in winter when it was all frozen, and then I don't remember what season it was next, but we went for 4 different seasons, and now we went back again during the summer. Well, actually, it's fall now. We went during the fall again.
I will never forget our first trip to Niagara Falls. Zephyr was about 2 years old, had him all bundled up in a snowsuit. We were on a massive tour where we just went from show to show to show to show to show, didn't even know where we were. Found out we were going to be near Niagara, performing up in this area, and the only time we had to come up and see Niagara Falls, the only time we could squeeze it in, was at midnight. So we drove up here in the snow. Snow was up to my armpits, and went over, saw the falls. It was freezing. We ran back to the RV and back on the road, get to our show the next morning.
On a previous visit to Niagara Falls, we did the Cave of the Winds tour, which is where you go down in a cave under the falls, and you can get really wet if you're not wearing your poncho, which they provide. This time, however, we did something else that was really interesting. We took the Maid of the Mist tour.
Yes, I remember the Cave of the Winds tour, too, very well. Zephyr was probably about 8 or 9 on that trip, and that was a great trip. Going underneath the waterfalls, you get really close. A very fascinating tour doing that one.
The Maid of the Mist tour was very fun as well, though. It offers a great view of the falls from down at the bottom. And something I did not know, which I learned, is that the Maid of the Mist boats actually rescued a 7-year-old boy who went over the falls with nothing but his swimming trunks and a very flimsy life jacket.
He went over accidentally, we should add. This happened in 1960, and he survived with no injuries, apparently. And now, the Maid of the Mist is a boat. It's actually a fleet of boats that operate from both the U.S. side and the Canadian side. They've been running these tours since 1846. They started out operating steamboats, and they take you right up very close to the falls. You really get wet, and you get rocked around quite a bit. It's like being on the ocean.
Right. They take you right up to Horseshoe Falls. There are 3 falls that make up Niagara Falls. There's the American Falls, Bridal Veil, and the Horseshoe Falls.
Yeah, the Horseshoe Falls are about 170 feet high, and the water right there under the falls, the water gets to a depth of, what did they say?
180 is what they said.
The water right there beneath the falls gets to a depth of 180 feet. Now, speaking of going over the falls, this is something I don't recommend, but people have gone over Niagara Falls deliberately in a barrel.
You can't just not recommend it. It's not legal anymore. There's no way to do it now.
Right. I don't know if it was legal then. But in 1901, a woman went over Niagara Falls in a barrel, and she was 63 years old.
Speaking of going over Niagara Falls, there's a ride in the Activated Story Park scenario, which is up online. It's based off of Niagara Falls and off of the story we're going to tell you today. But I built the whole thing as a little mini replica of going over the falls.
And that program works with Roller Coaster Tycoon. So if you have that software, the game, Roller Coaster Tycoon, then you can download Activated Story Park.
Yes, Roller Coaster Tycoon 2.
Okay, and it is online on our website, activated-storytellers.com. We are about to do a story for you that we have done several times in the past. I think, in fact, we did it on one of our first tours.
Yes, Well, let's see. We did it on, was it our first tour or our second tour? One or the other. Anyway, we first did it about 15 years ago.
Yes, there is a version of this of just Dennis and I performing it. We later brought it back and readapted it so that we could incorporate Zephyr and his talents and make it a 3-person cast. And we're about to do it for you now. Of course, this is not the stage version. This will be the audio version of Niagara, a story from the Seneca Tribe. Long, long ago, near the shores of Lake Ontario and Lake Erie, the Seneca Tribe in what is now New York used to live in houses up to 200 feet long, and they called these houses long houses. And a whole family would live in one of these houses. Not just mom and dad and brothers and sisters, but also grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins. But there was one grumpy old man who lived with his granddaughter in a little hut out in the woods. He did not like to be near the others of his tribe, and they did not like to be near him. And why?
Because of my smelly old feet.
Besides that, it was because there was only one thing in the whole world that he really cared about. Wampum.
Wampum.
Otherwise known as money. Every day, from sunrise to sunset, he would sit and count his riches. That is, when he wasn't out scheming to get more.
Wampum, moolah, cold hard cash, lettuce, bread and dough, what a stash! Leathers, feathers, shells and beads, gourds and hordes of pumpkin seeds, iron ore, gold ore, copper, tin, baskets and bags to cram them all in. Won't be a lender, might be a vendor, so I can get more of that legal tinder.
Would you like some tea, Grandfather?
Don't bother me now. Can't you see I'm busy?
I just thought you might like some tea.
I'll do the thinking around here. You just stay out of the way. And while you're out, bring me some tea.
Right away, sir.
Now, where was I?
Where can I possibly go?
15 wampum beads.
15 years.
Times 10 shells.
10 insults a day.
Divided by 2 little diamonds.
I've heard maybe 2 kind words my whole life. Tea's ready, sir.
How dare you interrupt me again? I was busy counting, and now I'm going to have to start over.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry, sir.
Sorry? I'll teach you sorry. Go outside and stand in the cold.
But, sir, it's the middle of summer.
Oh. Well, then go outside and wait for winter to come, and then stand in the cold.
Right away, sir.
Now, let's see. The square root of a gold tooth.
Oh, enough is enough. I don't know where I'm going to go, but I've got to get out of here.
So she ran and ran until she came to a river.
Oh, maybe I should just jump in.
Then she saw a canoe in the water.
Wow, that's very strange looking. I wonder whose it is. There doesn't seem to be anyone else around. Funny, but I have a strange, spooky feeling that I'm being watched.
Get in.
Great. Now I must be losing my mind. Not only am I talking to myself, I'm also hearing voices.
Get in.
Well, mysterious voices are generally right. I suppose I'd better get in.
Suddenly, the canoe started moving all by itself.
Oh, my. Oh, where is it taking me? Oh, no. Oh, there's a big waterfall up ahead. Oh, this is it. It's all over.
But then, the canoe was somehow lifted up out of the water, and it floated mysteriously through the air until it came to rest gently and safely at the mouth of a large cave.
Wow, that was fun. Hey, this cave is not on any map I've ever seen. In fact, everything around here looks strange. I must be in some kind of the land of fables.
Come in.
Oh, there's that voice again. Well, I guess I know now that I can trust it.
So she stepped very carefully into the cave.
Wow, what a magnificent cave. Hello? Is anybody in here?
Greetings, O lost one.
Well, hello. You must be the owner of that voice.
Bingo. I am the spirit of the water, and I reign over the forces of nature. I have brought you here to get you away from your grandfather. He's been collecting shells and precious stones from my waters and using them for evil. But my little fishies tell me that you are a very kind person who wouldn't harm a tadpole. So, you are welcome to stay here as long as you like.
Wow, really?
Of course. It's not a palace, but it does have wall-to-wall dirt, a garbage disposal. Here, Rover. And, of course, running water.
Wow, it seems wonderful compared to where I have been staying.
Well, I must flow on out of here. Make yourself at home.
Home. I guess I can never go back home. Not as long as my grandfather's there. Oh, I'm going to miss my friends in the longhouses.
So the girl stayed in the cave for many, many days.
Excuse me, how many days?
I don't actually know how many, and neither did she, because she couldn't see the sun or the moon. She could only see stalagmites and stalactites.
And I still don't know which is which.
Oh, well, you see, a stalactite holds on tight to the ceiling, while a stalagmite someday might reach the ceiling.
Oh, comprehension achieved.
But every day, the water spirit would bring her food and news of the outside world. Then one day, he came home looking very glum.
Oh, good evening, Mr. Water Spirit. Oh, you're looking awfully glum today.
Quite right, quite right. Your grandfather has really crossed the line this time.
Oh, what has he done?
What has he done? What has he done? Well, I'll tell you what he's done. He started a war between your people and the European settlers, and now he's selling weapons to both sides.
Both?
He is not a nice person.
Believe me, I know that very well.
I must go stop him before something terrible happens.
Oh, do be careful.
Farewell, and never ever forget. Always drink 6 glasses of water every day.
Meanwhile, something terrible had happened. The old man had continued collecting shells from the water and gold from the ground and coins from the pockets of dead soldiers. His greed had become so big that he himself had become really big. He grew bigger and stronger each time he collected more wampum.
I have bones of stone, shoulders like boulders, and a head like lead. Of course, I also have one heck of a kidney stone, but that's the way it goes. I am king of the world.
The water spirit found the old man.
Yo, old man, you got rocks in your head.
To which the old man replied,
You're nothing but a big drip.
and the water spirit said,
Now, let's not get personal, phosphorus face. I'm here because you are too greedy and powerful. You have become a danger to the Seneca and everyone else. You must give your riches to the poor and stop selling weapons and causing war.
But the old man did not agree.
I don't believe in trickle down, so you can just go dry up.
But the spirit tried to stop him.
We'll see about that.
And so they grabbed each other in a deadly embrace. And they began to struggle and kick and claw. And they splashed and tumbled and rocked and rolled until they reached the edge of a mighty precipice.
A mighty what?
A precipice? A cliff.
Oh, I'd just like to know what I'm falling over.
Finally, with a mighty roar, they both went tumbling down, 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 all the way to the bottom with a mighty crash and splash. Meanwhile, back in the cave...
What an awful noise! I better go see what happened. There's no sign of the water spirit. Or Grandpa. But that waterfall, why, I've never seen one that big before. Although there is something strangely familiar about it. I think I'll call it Niagara. Hey, that big boulder? It looks just like Grandpa's little toe.
Her grandfather's fortune now belonged to her, but instead of using it to be powerful, she used it to help her tribe. And the whole world gained a magnificent reminder that the treasures of nature are far more valuable than the treasures of a person. And that's the way it was.
And that's the way it is.
And that's the way it always will be. And that's the story of Niagara.
I'm glad we brought that one back. It's been a long time since we've had a chance to go through that one.
Yeah, it's been so long that Zephyr was really small, and I used to do both the old man and the water spirit, which made an interesting challenge for staging the fight. I had to fight myself and keep switching back and forth between parts.
Which was part of the fun when you put it on stage and have something like that. That was a lot of fun to kind of juggling between characters.
Well, what we did was the old man would be this gray cloak, and then the water spirit would be sort of this blue cloth that we'd use as the river. And then we'd toss them both up in the air, and Dad and I would switch places, and I was taking the narrator lines. I was taking the narrator lines in between, and so we would run and switch places, and I would catch one costume, and say, but the old man did not agree or whatever.
Yeah, because you were playing more of the narrator back when you were in the show. You never did do old man or water spirit, right?
Right, and then so it was really neat to watch, actually. We just throw up the costumes and then switch.
And when I did the fight, when the grabbing onto each other, I just took the one costume in each hand and just smashed them together and tangled them up.
Yeah, well, the audience always loved that part. Wow. Okay, so fun to bring that one back. This show is airing October 4th, and next time we air a podcast, we will have a guest star with us.
And it's one that we've had before.
Yes, it is somebody you have heard before. Should we leave it a mystery?
Yeah, let's leave it a mystery. Let's not tell them exactly what's going on. I like to keep them in the dark.
Okay, well, we're going to keep you in the dark.
And my band's really big show is coming up on September 30th, which is still coming up as we record this, so you'll have all the details about that when we come back next time.
Right. We are recording this on September 28th. We've just done a couple shows here in New York. Zephyr is flying back to North Carolina this evening, and then we'll be catching up.
And I get to play with my new guitar. I got a new guitar for my birthday. How awesome is that?
So he's pretty excited about the show coming up. He will tell you all about it on our next episode.
Okay, and if you're in the area of Niagara Falls, be sure and take the Maid of the Mist tour.
Right, and if you are hearing this when it airs, October 4th, and you live in the New Jersey area, there is a show coming up near you. We are going to be in the Manalapan Library on Saturday the 6th at 1 o'clock. So come on by, and you can see us perform live.
And that's it for this time. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Ta-ta.
The Activated Storytellers perform at schools and libraries nationwide. On stage, we use American Sign Language, physical comedy, imaginative props, and a giant, oversized book to bring the stories to life. For booking information, check our website at www.activated-storytellers.com, where you can also find out when the Activated Storytellers will be performing near you, read a story, or order one of our audio CDs. Until next time.